Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. And we're all about the positivity here on the show. And with me right now, I've got two special guests with me here talking about professional wrestling, charity work, and all the great work that they've done. First is a rising star on the independent scene. He has worked for numerous companies, including Renegade Championship Wrestling and now Steel City Championship Wrestling. The one, the only, the Livest Mexx Plexx, and his manager, JSizzle. Welcome, gentlemen, to Wrestling with Heart.
Hey, I'll tell you what, brother. Thank you, first of all, for allowing us to be part of this beautiful thing that you got going on. Like I says, as part of the AIWF Rocky Mountain Division, like I say, we saw that you're doing great things. You're doing wonderful things for the people and for your listeners and for all the people that support you. And we consider it an honor to be part of your podcast, there, brother.
The pleasure is all mine. The feeling is mutual. So let's talk about your upbringings. We'll start with you, Max. Tell me about your childhood and upbringing. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally, from Corpus Christi, Texas. I grew up in Corpus a lot. I bounced around, from California and Texas, back and forth, honestly. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't have the best childhood, but what I had, I made it work. And it was okay. It was kind of rough. I ain't gonna lie, I was one of those little rough kids back in the day. I was out and about and I loved to be adventurous, and just that's how it ended up here in the wrestling business. But I always seemed to have time out of my busy time as a kid for Monday night. All my friends would be playing and they were like, "Where'd you disappear to?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta go home. I don't care what you're doing, I gotta go home." So yeah, so it's always been in my heart. Pro wrestling's always been in my heart. And it's weird because you would never think as a boy growing up, like that's something you would be attached to. Because like most of my friends were getting attached to like basketball or football or things like that, baseball. And I was like, nah, I don't know. I like wrestling better. You know what I mean? It was just something about the big entrances and just like the crowd erupting, and it was like it was like the moments.
The engagement was definitely a factor.
Yeah, so that's what took me on my journey. But so when I started, when I was younger, I knew I was gonna do something. I didn't know what. And it was crazy because it took me from being very young to my life actually evolved about the age of 15, because that's when life decided to make me a man, and I had my first son. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. Didn't know what I was doing. Life kept going on, and then so I actually had to leave to go figure out myself as a man because I didn't realize what I was doing. So when I got to Corpus Christi, Texas, I actually went to an event at a Buffalo Wild Wings. And that's when I really can't remember the man's name, but he was doing this raffle and he was doing these questionnaires for prizes. And so I had asked him, why do you do this? And he goes, bro, because I have a school. I have a wrestling school. And I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, I have a wrestling school. He goes, you should come check it out. If you love wrestling that much, you should come check us out. And it was in Molina and Corpus Christi. And I was like, all right, let me go check it out and see what it's about. So I went for about a week. But once again, life catches up with you. And I had to make a decision. I was a married man and I had children and a wife. So at that time, my life couldn't really be about wrestling. And so, you know, I went through some hardships, you know. I made some life choices that weren't really great and ended up being in a place that wasn't really great. But when I decided to get out, I actually ended up right here in Pueblo, Colorado.
Okay.
And that's where I found my school. That's where I actually really, really found my school. And most of all, I can't lie, I found my wife because she's the biggest supporter of them all. Like she was the one that was like, "What do you want to do with yourself? What do you want to do with life?" Like I can't lie, I never had somebody tell me that like that. Like, what do you want to do with your life? Like other than work, what are your goals? What are your intentions? Like, what's your purpose? And I'm like, well, I don't know my purpose. Like, I've never been asked those questions. You know, I've never really had to tackle life like that. So I was like, she goes, well, you watched countless hours of pro wrestling. She's like, so she goes, why didn't you ever try to pursue that? And I was like, that's that. I've never really thought about that. You know, I was like, I've been approached. The opportunity approached me one time, and I felt like it slipped from my hands. And so I was like, heck yeah, you know, I was like, what could I do? And then it was here again. So I actually hit up a friend on Facebook named Tigre Balcon from Philadelphia. And I was like, hey, bro, do you think you could help me out? Because we had like these hours conversations about wrestling and about becoming a wrestler. And he was like, no, bro. He goes, I could probably see if I can get some connections because I got a lot of connections. So I was like, cool. I mean, anything can help. You know, how can I get myself into that direction, into the door? And so once that door was open for me, and he showed me like what I needed to do. I started calling all these schools in Colorado. I called Rocky Mountain Pro, I called Primos, I called Soco Pro, and then I called Empower Pro Wrestling Training Center in Colorado Springs, which actually Eric Lalone, him and Jimbo Lucas they're the ones that actually let me get into. They called me to the center the day that I was into the center. They were doing some promo classes and I can't lie, they told me to jump in there, and I was like, "But I'm not ready." Like, you came to give me a tour, so I was like, "There's no way I'm ready right now, right?" I was like, can I come back on Tuesday? I'm not ready for this part of the class yet, you know." So I can't lie, it was kind of like in first at Empower, it was kind of intimidating that first class, but come Tuesday when we did like just the rolling and the physical part and the athletic part. Oh, I was all ready for that. Like I was ready to get up on this ship and embark my journey. I made like I that weekend, I literally made some choices in my life. Like I cut cigarettes out, I cut like all this stuff out because I was ready to embark on this journey of pro wrestling. And I was like, let's do it. And then once that Tuesday came, that first week of training, those first 2 days of that week of training, I was hooked. It was like a drug. It was like you wanted more. Like I came home and I was like learning how to do my steps. I'm like how to run the ropes. So I'm walking around going left, right, left turn. You know what I mean? Doing simple things like that. So yeah, that's and then you know I did that for about 18 months.
Yeah, definitely all about the sacrifice and going where the opportunity is. And you traveled all around the country to find a place that would help you develop those fundamental skills. And it was definitely, you found your passion and found, your dream and got the desire and will to do what you love to do. And it's just an example of the things that you do with hard work and you're able to put that into motion. So that's amazing. JSizzle, I want to get your input and how you got started in the business.
I initially, as a child, obviously, I was a huge pro wrestling fan. You know what I mean? As a young man, growing up, but I fell out of love with the sport, to tell you the truth, and had quit doing it. Started, other ventures in life. Did radio and television and the whole in the entertainment industry. And my son actually is funny because when he was first born, I was an adamant pro wrestling fan back then. That was during the Attitude Era, and of course my young man, he instantly fell in love with it. And of course he had the Titantron because the voice got it from
Mm-hmm.
somewhere.
Yep.
And Yeah, I remember that stupid thing. It was Christmas Eve, and that stupid thing just kept on going off all night long. It's kind of hard to hide it from my son. It's like, what is that, Dad? It's nothing, so don't worry about it. But yeah, the Titantron just all night long. Steve Austin, The Rock, just like every 5 minutes, a stupid thing would go off. But anyway, having said that, just to emphasize the love that my son had for it, which is what actually drew me back into it, through my entertainment industry, through the shows, and I was a booking manager for a lot of different venues. And as a matter of fact, there he is. That's my boy. But anyway, through the work, I was able to get my into the pro wrestling. I hadn't thought about it for years. My son was already growing up into his late teens, and a young man by the name of Jason Gribble actually contacted me. Goes by the name of Pork Chop. He's the owner of Renegade Championship Wrestling RW in Canyon City, Colorado. Since it's since been defunct, but at the time it was booming, and he asked me, can you help me to get a venue for the location? And of course, I always ready to help the community, help out anybody that needs our assistance. And so of course I invited him into our venue. Long story short, I went on to promote for him and to help with some radio spots, like you're doing here. I did some some flyering, some stuff like that for him, built some promotional materials for him, and got my foot in the door there because as a color commentator. And it's funny, the first night I got there, I says, he says, you ever, you want to talk on the mic? I says, sure, why not? So I get up there, and I didn't know anything about it. I'm just okay, sure, why not? I got the voice, so what the heck? Turned it on, and then from that point on, I ended up being the damn the announcer, and it went forward from there. As where my journey actually, it's where my journey met up with Plex's journey, and one thing led to another, and here we are. He's current and reigning SBBC champion. He's he's one half of the Steel City Championship Wrestling ownership, actually a third of the ownership of Steel City Championship Wrestling. He's been, now he's on television with Duke City Championship Wrestling in New Mexico. We've, like I said, that's where my journey began. And like I said, if it wasn't for the young man that you're on with here, I might have actually stepped away from it. I actually was going to walk away from it. And he says to me, Sizzle, let's do something together. I'm like, well, I'm sure, why not, whatever. And so here we go. You know what I mean? Bottom line is, when I'm up on that pedestal talking about my story, this is the same story they're gonna get, and everyone's gonna talk about how amazing it is and how awesome my story is, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Sizzle, you got to watch that because it's really powerful, really entertaining stuff, and it's basically me talking to myself." But no, that's where I whole thing. And of course, the rest is history. The voice of professional wrestling, JSizzle FoRizzle, and of course, the Livest Mexx el Mexicano más vivo.
Yeah, it seems like, as a fellow broadcaster, I can definitely see how both radio, television, and pro wrestling all go hand in hand because it's showmanship, it's a show, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
performing and you're going out there day after day, night after night, entertaining people, whether it's with a crowd or no crowd. You're acting, and
Yeah,
Well,
you're
you know what?
no, me and
Yeah,
Sizzle, we do our job whether it's 3 people or if it's 700 plus people. That's how we are like salt and pepper. You can't have one without the other. You know what I'm saying?
no.
We're like a package that just comes together. A lot of people didn't in the beginning didn't really see our vision, but there was a company that really did see our vision, and I got to give them shots out, and that actually is Duke City Championship Wrestling out there in New Mexico, Albuquerque.
All
You know,
right.
shout
Yeah.
outs to Fred Sloan and Hobo Hank and Soleil Taylor out there that are in New Mexico, you know, and all them and Fernando Gonzalez, you know.
And you know what? Big shout
So
out to Matt Creed actually from
and shout
one of
out
the
to Matt
presidents
Green.
of the
Yes.
AIWF. Yeah, they actually put us on our on a you know they saw the potential in what we were trying to accomplish here in Southern Colorado, and they gave us the green light to go ahead and start the AIWF Rocky Mountain Division. So we actually, you know, we like again cross country. We went out there. We showed them what we had to offer as far as the showmanship and what we had to pop. And again, they supported us 100%. They got behind us 100%. Like I said, if it wasn't for them, you know, I mean, we wouldn't be at the level where we're able to be at now. We wouldn't be able to do the things, you know, I mean, because the recognition from somebody of Matt Creed's status, you know, I mean, him and Rick Diesel actually, you know, he doesn't get much support. I don't know why he doesn't want it, but um, you know what I mean. They actually saw the potential in the opportunity that we were offering them for us to be part of their organization to start a whole new regional wrestling promotion out here in Southern Colorado, and they gave us the green light, and by golly, like I said, it's yeah, I mean that's where we are now. Pro wrestling, you know, like well, obviously your show, I'm sure showcases quite a bit. It does. It touches lives. It reaches people in a certain way that a lot of other things can't reach people. It reaches people in the same manner I would think as music. You know what I mean? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
has that favorite wrestler. They hear his music, boom, immediately it brings a smile to their face, or immediately it sends that source of passion through them one way or the other, hate or love. You know, Undertaker, hear that gong, boom, you know what I mean? Instantly, it's just takes you back to whatever moment that you first loved pro wrestling. And that's what we try to do. You know, I mean, we give them that awe moment, that moment of oh my god, that's so, you know, that when they want to cheer for the man that's going against us so bad, and when he pulls it off and he destroys us, you know, when destroys the evil, then you know, I mean, it's just that moment of just they can take that forever. And same thing when we're faces. I mean, we go out there and we give them that, you know what I mean, and they you know they get to see us achieve the goals because again, you know, they see, you know, they see us, they see the stature, you know, the height, the everything about about the Livest Mexx Plexx, and they think, you know what, man, I want to do that. You know what I mean? And they see how much passion the man has, and it's just like we'll go into schools, we'll go into benefits, we go into the 21 and 1. You know, we've been there to help the soldiers that are, you know, there's all these soldiers killing themselves on a daily basis, and we, you know, we've raised funds for them. We've, you know, we've fed homeless people. We've been out there, you know, Christmas time. We gather food for the people like that. And like I say, it doesn't matter at that point in time. It doesn't matter heel or face. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? When there's somebody in need, that's the thing about the community, the family, the fellowship, which is professional wrestling, sports entertainment, if you will. That you know, what I mean, when there's a need, you know, we fulfill that need. They all do, and it doesn't matter if they're the meanest, biggest, baddest, ugliest, toothless, most you know, disgusting degenerate in the world. For the most part, you know, they're there when the
Yeah,
calls
we like
made,
to
they're
come
there.
back for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you know, I mean, and I enjoy doing that stuff. I really do. Like, I like to dress up. I like to put on all my LED stuff. The kids go crazy. I literally go and get extra 8x10s, you know what I mean, printed out so I could just hand them out, like, just so they, like, when they come in, they're like, oh, I got something from him. Like, that was great. I can go hang that up because growing up, when I used to see some wrestlers, like, you know, my at that time, you know, I didn't have a lot of money. So it was like my mom's like, I don't have enough money to pay for $10 to get you an autograph, you know. So I think and reflect about all those things that I didn't have as a kid. And I actually apply them now as a wrestler. Like, even like to my merch game, like people will be like, yeah, that's how much you charge. And I'm like, yeah, because at the end of the day, I remember when I was growing up and like my mom and then me as a father too, and taking my kids to WWE events and buy them stuff. I was like, you know, it hurt my pockets. So I'm like, you know, if it hurt my pocket, I got to think about it that type of sense. You know what I mean? So I like to give back to my community, bro. Like, I'm a big person. Like, I like this story because actually, this story actually touches my heart because it just happened like like a week ago, and it was like it was like the most. It was a that's why I like pro wrestling. That's why I get into it because those moments right there was this boy, or about he was a 29-year-old man. Let me say that. He was walking around with his mother. They were actually at an event that they were celebrating here in Colorado. We were actually at a Colorado festival, and I was actually me and Sizzle were making our promo rounds, trying to get ticket sales, doing our thing. And I come back to our table, and my wife, she's telling me, she's like, there's this young man. She goes, he's really excited. He can't wait to meet you. He's like super, super excited. Like she's like, he's real. So like I'm standing there, and she points him out, and he goes, there he is. And he's across the hall. But he's making his round towards me, and she's like, here, go up to him, sign an autograph and give it to him. So I was like, okay. I was like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let him walk all the way around. So I let him walk all the way around. When he gets about to the corner, I look at him and I start going, hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. And all of a sudden, he just looks, and we just start cutting promos on each other. This like the look on his face was priceless. And then like for him to go live on my Facebook and to cut a promo live, it was priceless.
Wow.
Like he was so, so, so happy. Like nothing after that could have ruined that man's life. Like he was like to me, it would like touch my heart because like that small little gesture of me just letting him cut a promo on me, and then I let him hold the title and like take pictures and stuff. Like
Yeah, kind of
it
find out it was his
he
birthday.
was
Yeah,
like,
that was
yeah, he
cool.
was like, I'm going to your show VIP. Like he was like, Mom, we gotta buy tickets. Like that's it. That like I'm all in, and like so like I literally made a permanent fan for life. And like that was the most amazing thing because everybody was like, Steel City Championship Wrestling. I'm like, yeah, Pueblo's own because Pueblo hasn't had a pro wrestling company. So that was the brainstorm between me and Sizzle, is that we came up with Steel City Championship Wrestling because we wanted to bring pro wrestling here to Southern Colorado. Because if you want to watch wrestling, you have to travel 2 hours outside of Pueblo to Denver or an hour to Colorado Springs to watch pro wrestling.
And they have great pro
So
wrestling promotions out there. But yeah,
I mean,
so
and they're all wonderful. Like, cause I worked for Primos, I worked for Rocky Mountain Pro, I worked for Colorado Springs Pro Wrestling, One Revolution Pro Wrestling, Renegade Championship Wrestling when it was up. Um, I've worked for a lot of these companies. Even Tammy's Lucha Libre company, I worked up in Commerce City for that one. So yeah, I respect all my brothers and my sisters here in the business here in Colorado, you know, and I want them all to succeed as much as I'm succeeding as well. But like that man though, when he left that day at that depot, oh my God, it was just fantastic. Like I even had to tell my wife the next day, like that boy, he's been just so amazing. And
it's funny you guys
that's
like
one thing about me. I love to be the baby face because I love to make those memories with people. As much as I do love, like, I also do love being the bad guy.
right.
You
You got
know,
to give them something to hate every now and then.
You guys are very involved with professional wrestling in your community. And the one thing I want to touch on, JSizzle, you brought this up. It is like music, and also I gotta have to say, professional wrestling, can be enjoyed by so many people, kids, teenagers, adults. It's generational, moving on to the next person, passing on to the next cycle. It really is about paying it forward and showing the next generation of fans what we grew up on as fans, what we enjoyed, what the next generation can expect when it comes to this form of entertainment. and to hear that you're able to put smiles on so many kids' faces, there's hope that they can pass their memories on to their kids, and so
Oh
on and
yeah.
so on.
Yes, sir, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things that I mean, a lot of people, again, initially getting into this, you don't you don't realize that part of it. You think, oh, well, I'm getting part of it's pro wrestling, oh, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler, blah, blah, blah. But you don't really, I don't think, take into account, I don't think people take into account when you're in a position like that, the power that you have, I mean, the power that you wield, it's pretty freaking amazing. Like I say, you have that ability to, I mean, I you could either, like he said, change someone's life, change someone's perspective, change someone's entire course of their career or their lifespan, depending on the way that you interact with these people. I mean, that came up, to Plex was talking about at the event. He we didn't know who he was. We didn't have any idea. We didn't know if he's just some wild fan, if he was a whatever his thing was. But again, we didn't shy away from him. I mean, we didn't I mean, we don't ever, I don't care if you could be the greasiest, most disgusting person, three-fingered freaking sloth with a thumb coming out of your forehead, I don't care. The line is that you're a person, people are people. And when you take the time, see, that's the other thing too. You don't realize how they look up to you. They look up like, oh my God, you're on this mountain or whatever. You know what I mean? You're like unobtainable. But then when you actually reach down and you're like, hey, boom, I'm a person just like you. Let me shake your hand. Hey, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, hey, you like tacos? I like tacos. You know what I mean? Stuff like that is like you make it real for them. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh, this is this, it's fake or whatever, or oh, these people are mean and they're hateful or whatever. But then, like I
But
said, when you take that opportunity, you just you can shape minds, you can change someone's entire, like I said, their entire life. This man, like I said, he had dreamt his whole life of being a pro wrestler. He had his whole dream was to one day be somebody in wrestling. And for just that brief moment, even for a 30-second promo spot, he was The Rock, or he was KO, or he was his favorite pro wrestler in the midst of cutting his promo. I mean, everybody at the entire, there was thousands of people there, but it didn't matter to him. Right then and
Right.
there, to that young man, the world stopped. He was a television star cutting a promo, and you know what I mean. That's the thing, is we do, and again, you can be the
that's the
difference
that's
between.
the that's the beauty of our legacy, of me and the Sizzle legacy right there, is we love to bring those small moments that impact you in a big way. And I
And it's
feel
funny,
like
the smallest thing,
that's
makes a difference.
It is. It's very important.
You don't
and
even
that's
realize the impact you have on
and
somebody sometimes.
that's
Like I
how
said,
I feel, because people ask me, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to wrestling? What are you gonna leave in wrestling? Me, I want to leave in wrestling. I want to be able to be able, like, Sizzle kind of gives me some of my promotional skills, and I take some of his, what I've learned from Sizzle, from his entertainment industry, and to my pro wrestling. But I also, like, take some of the students that I also, at the center that I go train. Some of them look up to me, and I leave some of my knowledge onto them, and I let them see what we do, and like, I take them. Some of them I take them on the road with me so they can actually see what we do, because that's all we could do, is just leave our legacy, right? Pass on to the next generation.
Exactly, like giving
All the
giving them
knowledge.
the glimpse of what is a professional wrestler and
Yes,
what it takes to be a professional wrestler.
because I ain't gonna lie, I met some of the greatest people. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, the person that I thought the most, like, totally, like, changed my life. Okay, and on TV, he's the character. Let me put that. And I'll tell you his name, QT Marshall.
Okay.
I went up to Salt Lake City, up to Devotion, with Manny Lemons that actually runs the center, and they had a seminar. It was a 5 hour seminar, which was totally great. I got some one-on-one time with QT, got all my questions I needed to ask. Anything that like I was questioning myself about or anything in my wrestling career, like that man was 100% down to earth, and he answered everything. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like everything, like and he didn't like shoo me away. Like he's like, no, bro, like I had that same problem. This is how you tackle this. This is, and it was like so amazing because like on TV, he's like, dude, I hate that dude. Like he's not even approachable. But like in real life, he's totally like approachable. He's like
It's the
totally,
opposite.
yeah. And I'm like, wow. And like, so like I took a lot of knowledge from them 5 hours. And it's like changed, like, I ain't gonna lie, kind of like changed my career and a lot of my perspective. So I understand like what we do for the community and like small people and even people in our own industry that are green and like rookies or whatever, and we teach them like what we know and help them. Like it's beautiful because then you get to see it blossom like a flower,
Yeah.
like growing, and you're like, whoa, yo, like yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know. That's the professionalism. That is the pro wrestling. Like all this stuff going on in the ring, like you see in here. I mean, that's one part of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, athleticism. They're working all this other thing, but to have that professionalism to be able to turn it on or off depending on the
Behind the
scenario.
scenes.
Yeah, that's where it's all at right there. You know what I mean? That's the one thing with Plex. Again, we can go into any facility and you can put on any show because, I mean, they need a heel. We're those horrible heels. And that's the other thing too, is our, the professionalism. You don't have to be, F this, F that, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? We can literally put a show on in a church and quite literally. And you know what I mean? And we can get just as much passion and as much emotion, as much hate out of that crowd as we would if we were in a bar, for instance, you know what I mean, or in a scenario like that. And it's all part of that. And the people, they don't realize that. A lot of these kids think it's just go in there, bounce around, don't try this at home, stuff that they see on TV, and a
You
lot of it is, but I mean that's all the basic
you got
stuff. You know what I mean?
and it was always
Go ahead.
told by a veteran, by me. It was always said, wrestling, to be honest, wrestling is a work. Like you got to know who yourself is outside of the ring. Like who are you when the lights go off and you're no longer in those ropes? That's you gotta, and a lot of people like you need to define yourself like that too. Cause like you could be the bad guy, but like, are you really the bad guy?
You got to believe in
And
that
like,
character. You got to step into
yeah,
that role. Otherwise, the fans aren't going to believe in you. They're not going to be convinced, like,
And,
hey, we got to boo this guy. Or, hey,
yeah,
this guy's a
and
right.
babyface. We got to get behind this guy.
you gotta know when to click on. And it's like for me, I ain't gonna lie, when I click on,
When?
as the moment Sizzle walks out that curtain and he says, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and that's when it's game time.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mind, like I'm at a show, and yes, I'll be, I could kayfabe and be the heel the whole time, but like I truly like when it's time to click on, it's like when Sizzle steps out that curtain, it's
Sure.
on.
Yep, yep.
It's game time. Like for me, it's like because everybody asks me this question, like, why do you like? So I have like that little Brock Lesnar bounce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I do that, but it's just something I do before I step out. And because Sizzle, I'm waiting for Sizzle, and he hits that cue, and it's like, boom, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm babyface, then it's like, hello, world. If I'm healed,
Yeah.
and it's like Brock Lesnar time, like
Yeah,
I'm the
it's the
biggest guy. Because I ain't gonna lie, we've gone to DCCW when he first announced me. I came out looking like, wow, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's
Feeling like
the
I'm like 10 feet
mannerisms.
tall. And they're like, is that it?
Is that it?
That was it. That's it. Like, because Sizzle makes me look like I'm 10 feet tall and this humongous, like big
Larger than
show
life.
looking guy. And then they really see me and they're like, holy, oh, wow. and then it's
Yeah,
a different, but that's the great thing about it.
right. It's all about getting into character. If you're not in your character, they're not gonna be convinced like this guy is the heel or this guy's not the baby face. You have to convince these people to get behind you in whatever role you're playing. It's acting. It really is.
Yeah. And that's
Let
the
me
other thing too about like
And
Duke
the
City, and for
energy, like,
instance.
and the
Yeah.
energy that you give to the crowd, you got to give the energy to the crowd,
Mhm.
and I'm a big supporter of that one. I love giving the energy to the crowd
Yeah.
because if not, then I won't feel it. And then it's like, okay, we still got to go through it. And it feels like a training session.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah,
And you got to be able to feed off them just as much as they feed you just as much as you feed them, actually. You know what I mean? Like, they
yeah.
say it all the time, like at a monster truck or something like that. The louder you are, the bigger they ride or whatever. No, it's the same thing. Like I said, you feed off that energy, and it's all positive energy. That's the thing, because you're getting all that positive energy, the support that they have for the man that you're going against. You know what I mean? The face
Yes.
that you're putting out there,
Right.
that all that energy is there. And I mean, it drives us harder. And that's what I like I'm showing you guys clips here of Duke City Championship Wrestling. The thing I like about, this is our TV show that we do out there in New Mexico, but what I like about them is, again, they want you to, they push you to say, you know what, be more intelligent than that. You know what I mean? Don't go out there and just, get the cheap hate. You know what I mean? Oh, you suck, or you're this, you're that, whatever. You know what I mean? But they actually encourage us to go out there and do these extra, do our knowledge, learn all that there is to learn about this crowd. You know what I mean? What makes them tick? What's going to excite them? What's going to really upset them? You know what I mean? Try this. So that's something for the next generation. Definitely, you know what I mean? Go out there, do your research, due diligence. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do those things. Be more intelligent than just the average, oh, I'm a hateful person. Shut up, blah, blah, blah. So what?
Yep.
Nobody wants that. You go out there and you really, get these people, and that's when you're doing your job as a professional wrestler. But yeah, like I said, again, it's a lot of, it's funny because, again, I'm not the best of anything by any means. You know what I mean? I'm not, like I said, I'm not even the best person in the room most of the times. As far as pro wrestling, I know less than most of the children in the room. But again, it's all about, you know what I mean, just doing your job,
but
man, going out there
you
knowing
got a
everything
great
you can.
mind. So you got a great mind for entertainment, brother. You do. And that's
Yes,
why
sir.
you work.
I,
Entertainment and a different source than I do as into wrestling. Like you want to know wrestling, I teach you wrestling, you teach me some entertainment stuff. We mesh it together, and that's what they get, and the crowd loves it. And we show people what we do, and and it's like they're at Duke City, like he says, we all push each other to be on that next level.
Hmm.
We all want to push each other to that next level.
Right. Right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
that
Up
competitive
the ante.
spirit.
Every
Yes.
every show we're
Yes.
upping the ante.
Hmm.
And there's no other place that's like, I love places that you work at like that, and then everybody's like pushing that ante, and like
Hmm.
you're pushing each other. And
Hmm.
it's just like a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the
yeah,
theme of our conversation here is about passion, not just for the community and pro wrestling, but for the whole entire environment that you guys are working in.
yes,
And it's just
exactly.
it's incredible to see the work that you are all doing. Why do you guys feel passionate about helping out in your community and passionate about the sport of pro wrestling?
So when I was growing up, when I actually, let me say, when I was a teenager, I was part of a group called AmeriCorp back in the day. I had a mentor. And she used to take me on like community events, like runs, and go pick up trash. And I really started getting, like, at a young age, I was getting into like community stuff. And I always like enjoyed those type of things and hanging out with the community and being with and socializing, because I'm a big socializer. I'm a big social butterfly. Um, and so when I was younger, I always envisioned myself doing that type of stuff, but didn't know, like, in my 20s how to get into type of stuff like that. So like when I got here, like I said, I got in touch with Sizzle, and Sizzle's like, "Hey, I know all these type of organizations." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And actually it all started with a Halloween party at the
Okay.
Nerd Emporium in Pueblo. Sizzle had asked me to go do a Halloween like trunk or treat thing to give out candy for the kids
Yeah.
and for me to dress up in gimmick.
Mhm.
He didn't think I was gonna show up. I showed up with a whole bunch of candies. It was a great night. Like it was a great night. And like that's when
Great.
Sizzle realized in his heart, like, oh, okay, we might have something here. So then that's how we embarked. Once again, we actually took off on the road, and Sizzle was like, "Hey, why don't you come do this Pueblo United thing? You know, that they have going on." And like, so I started working with the community, and like my passion's always been there to work with the community. Like in my and for wrestling, like it's even more because then like I get to show and be actually promote myself, show the community who I am. You know, this is what I do. These are my shows. Come out and support me. I'm supporting you. You know, it works both ways. Show love, get love type
Absolutely.
deal.
Yeah, it's that give and take
Yeah,
basically.
and like and passion for wrestling has been there since like I ain't gonna lie, my passion for wrestling when I started school, it dug even it like dug its roots into me.
Really.
So, like, I ain't gonna lie, like, it dug its roots into me because so back in the day, I only knew about WWF. When I got into school, I started learning about New Japan. I started worrying about TNA, NWA, old stuff because I would hear all these guys talk about all this history, and I was so like lost
Mhm.
because I'm like, I don't know any of that history. And I'm like, I watched wrestling so much that I don't know any of this history. So it made me want to go dig and find out and learn. And then I was like, while I was learning, I was like, hey, bro, like I really love wrestling. Like this is on a whole nother level of wrestling. It's not just WWF or WWE. It's a whole nother embark. And that's
Yeah.
why like for me, like people ask me, "Do you watch AEW?" No, you know what, bro? I watch all wrestling. Like I watch GCW. I watch, every. I mean, I watch it all, bro. Like
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
like
the
to me, I enjoy wrestling, and to me, it's something now. It's just like there.
right, and the older you get, you can appreciate the old school stuff. You can go back and watch, the WCW stuff, the ECW stuff, the New Japan stuff, classic Memphis wrestling, Florida, Texas, St. Louis. I mean, it's all at your fingertips now. It's very accessible, and it's amazing to see the evolution of professional wrestling and where it's headed. I believe it's going to be in a good place going forward.
Oh yeah.
How do you guys feel?
Oh, I agree. That's how I've been lately. Like that's why like I watch a lot of stuff and I read a lot of stuff, but I just like me. That's just how I am. I actually enjoy it all because there's like all these different type of stories, all these different characters. You get to enjoy any type of wrestling. It doesn't matter what type of fan you are.
Yeah.
What company, what promotion you represent.
Mhm.
Shoot, like me, I enjoy going to the indie promotions here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really do. I'll go to a local indie show here and like I enjoy it. Like, and it's like fantastic. Like, we have one up in Denver called it's a lucha show called IWC. They usually put on a really big shows and they bring out some really great stars. That's where I actually got to meet Jacob Fontu for the first time before I actually met him the second time at Duke City, which that was he actually remembered me and it was like a fantastic like that's a highlight in my life. Like I really was just explaining this to my wife the other day. Like in my life, like he was like he met me up in Denver, but then we shared the locker room down in New Mexico and he was like, Seus, Seus, like I know you, Oos. And I was like, yeah, we met up in Denver. I was like, I wasn't working. I was just watching the show and I came to support. And he goes, you know what? That's even more better because, he explained it. And like, I ain't gonna lie, right behind the corner. And I kind of marked out a little bit because I was like, hey, Jacob Fontu remembered me. Like, I was just standing there getting myself ready, like going over my stuff, and he remembered me, and it was like that was great. When somebody of that caliber remembers you.
As a young man, I wasn't, I ain't gonna lie, I was a bad person. I was in a lot of trouble. I was into gang banging and all this other stupid crap. Drug abuse, all this other horrible things. I was constantly, abused in my family life. And I mean, didn't have anything ever. You know what I mean? And so I was in the streets for a long time, a great period of my teen life. I was, homeless and on my own. And my thing was that, you know what I mean? When I became a father, I decided, you know what? I've had enough of this crap. I mean, I started all this crap. I'm, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to put an end to it. Here I am, 20 some years later, still haven't made too big of a difference. But again, I want to be able to. That's why, when he approached me with this opportunity to run Steel City Championship Wrestling, the name Steel City goes way back in my family, like over 50, 60 years. And so I jumped on the opportunity, you know what I mean? Because in these small communities, especially the ones where we would be able to bless, like southern Colorado, Pueblo, Alamosa, Trinidad, Canyon City, Rocky Ford, these little towns and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing for these people. There's nothing for kids. There's nothing for families. You know what I mean? It's either you're addicted to drugs, or you're shooting somebody, or you're in a bad place. You know what I mean? So we want to give them an avenue, something positive that they can do, something that they can, you can stay out of trouble, go out, have a great time with your family, have some food, have a couple of drinks, whatever, you know what I mean? Just be safe, and to know that you're in the company of people that are like-minded, just, there for a positive reason. And hopefully, like I said, we inspire some kids' passions to grow up and either, maybe they want to be an announcer, maybe they want to be a pro wrestler, maybe they want to be a cameraman. You know what I mean? Maybe they just want to see, well,
Maybe they want to be a
does that
ref.
camera, how do they do the angles on that?
Yeah.
How do they get the shots? To do what we can to give back to not only to the pro wrestling industry, but to the people, the communities in which we serve. Even when we go out there, we do autograph signings, we do whatever we can for the community. We try to bless the communities that we go to, no matter where they are, North Carolina, California, Arizona, wherever it is. We always try to give back, do an autograph signing, do something somewhere to, to show people that, people care about you. It doesn't matter, who you are, where you're from, what you're about. You know what I mean? There's people, there's people that care. There's people that are out here that they want good things, and
And
hopefully
that
inspire
goes the
somebody
same
else to
way.
say, well,
Like
hey,
when we do things too, we like to elevate the next man. We want to help the next wrestler. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we started Steel City. We want to open up another avenue. We want to open up another stage, somewhere where you can showcase your skills. Do what you do and do it at a really great velocity and a great
Hmm.
venue and a great
yeah,
atmosphere.
Yes.
That's what we're starting Steel City. That's what it was about. I mean,
Yeah.
there there's a
The
lot of
passion.
great things that are here in Colorado, and that's we just want to give you another opportunity. You
yeah.
know
To
what I
touch
mean?
to touch a little bit on
And
what you guys
and
were talking
and
about
we have,
earlier, as far as social
and
media and
and
all that.
it's like, and
I
I
know, right?
actually am bringing. I'll be bringing guys that I work with from North Carolina, from like we work with everybody from
Texas,
from
Canada.
from the East Coast to the down south to the Midwest to the West Coast. We worked with pretty practically, like, because that's how much me and Sizzle traveled. Like they said, and I got a shout out because to Gino,
Yeah.
because he put this in perspective. Gino Rivera from Off the Ropes. He was actually one of the first guys I took a seminar, and he said that the best way you're gonna learn who you are, it's you being on the road, learning yourself on the road, learning who you are in the locker rooms, learning how if you can live and adapt in the locker rooms with other wrestlers, not just inside your state, but outside your state. And I went and I seeked that, you know what I mean? And I really took that into perspective when I had that opportunity to get up and go and start working out of state. I was on it. And I've been on it, and that's I love to do. I ain't gonna lie, I love to be on the road. But this is where it comes into where you start learning, like, hey, bro, I got another place outlet where you could come and wrestle. You know what I mean? And I'm giving you this opportunity so you could come showcase your skills because I know what you do. And then if you have other people that you feel like have that looking for an opportunity, you can bring them along as well. And we could, maybe open the door for them.
Mhm.
You know what, guys? I hate to sound
Yeah.
stupid, but yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought about this when he was saying that. It's funny that, the life skills that pro wrestling actually teaches you. It teaches you, no matter who they are, like I said, heels, faces, it doesn't matter. Because it teaches you respect for your fellow man. It teaches you responsibility because these guys, they put in the hours. They build their freaking they build for the most part, they build their stages, they build their scenarios. They get out there, they learn how to, like I said, you shake hands with that other man, no matter who it is. The you be the bad guy, the good guy, whatever. You might know him, you might not know that guy, you may never have met that person in your life, you may never meet him again. But you show that love and respect for one another. You show trust. You learn trusting skills. You learn to trust your fellow man, no matter who they are, black man, white man, Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? In that locker room and in that scenario, everybody's family. And I think that's another important lesson that this pro
Mhm.
wrestling teaches you guys. It
Oh,
teaches you,
no
like I said,
question.
responsibility and everything.
Yes.
But you learn so much about yourself as a human being, as a man, as a woman. You know what I mean? You learn respect for women. You learn respect for everybody. I mean, that's the thing, the
It's a,
camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you both. I just want to
I
say
know.
thank you for coming on here. It means a lot to me, to my viewers and listeners that are listening to this. Uh, where can people find you both on social media? Where can people find more about your wrestling school, your wrestling promotion? Where can people find more about you guys?
You
you
know,
can
Plex, you
find
want to
me
start?
on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook at the Livest Mexx Plexx, or you can find me on Instagram at the Plex Zone 123. You can find me on TikTok at Plex Zone 123. What else do I have? And then you
A
can
lot of
find me. You can actually find any of my matches recently on Duke City Championship Wrestling. You can also find some of my matches on
So here's a wave of the future that we're about to bust on you there, sir. Uh, Triller app, the Triller app. It is the TikTok of the future. Like I said, it is run by what used to be Fight TV as well. So the Triller app, like I said, kids, licensing, all that sort of thing. Yeah, you want to be seen, you want to be awesome, like the Livest Mexx Plexx. Go on the Triller app. Yeah, I had to give them a shout out. Triller's
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
It's done big things.
yes.
But yeah, so you can
And then
find us on all.
you catch me on Patreon as well under the
That's right.
Livest Mexx Plexx.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
and
then
of course
we also
followers.
you can find me or Sizzle at Still City Championship Wrestling on Facebook.
Are the official Steel City Championship Wrestling 719 website. What I mean, buy tickets at ticketstorm.com. You can find us on basically all your favorite social media sites. We have a presence on there. Either look up Livest Mexx Plexx, look up Steel City, SCCW 719, anything like that. Just type in, go, you know what? That's what I always say. My resume is www.google.com. So you do a Google search for Steel City Championship Wrestling, you're gonna find us. You do a Google search for the Livest Mexx Plexx, you'll find all his social media, TikTok, Patreon.
All right, guys. Thanks so much again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
All
Well, hey,
righty.
thanks for
Thank you
having us.
for
We
having us.
appreciate
We
All
you,
right.
brother.
enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you
Take
for the
care.
podcast. Okay.
Wrestling with passion. Wrestling with passion.
That's
Show
right.
love, get love. You already know.
All right. Take care. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.